Well, first up tonight, the Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA, has announced the 1st of May 2022 as the implementation date for the Electronic Transaction Levy, e-levy, following its passage. The e-levy will impose 1.50% on all electronic transfers, as it will affect electronic transfer at the time of the transfer. Now, the GRA has been highlighting areas the charges would cover. We want to show you that right now in this infographic. It says the levy will apply to mobile money transfers done between accounts on the same electronic money issuer and mobile money transfers from an account on one electronic money issuer to a recipient on another electronic money issuer. Others are transfers from bank accounts to mobile money accounts and transfers from mobile money accounts to bank accounts. However, bank transfers on an instant pay digital platform or application originating from a bank account to an individual subject to a daily threshold will be determined by the Minister of Finance. The e-levy was introduced by government in the 2022 budget on basic transactions related to digital payments and electronic platform transactions. The rate would apply to electronic transactions that are more than 100 cedis daily. Now, this is different from the percentage communication companies charge on mobile money transactions. And so that's an idea from the GRA what on the areas the e-levy would cover. Joining us to discuss this is Senior Finance Lecturer at the University of Cape Coast, Sayam Kawo. Great to have you tonight on Business Live. So the GRA has confirmed the date for implementation of the e-levy, but even before it kickstarts, there are people who are concerned about how the monies accrued will be used. Are those legitimate concerns? You would have to unmute, Sayam.
Thank you very much, Gary. The concerns by the ordinary Ghanaian on whether the monies that are accrued from the e-levy will be used are genuine concerns. They are genuine concerns because we've had situations over time where monies collected by government are misappropriated, and we have a lot of corruption. And so GRA coming to say that the implementation is going to take place on the 1st of May. Fine, the bill has been passed into law and it has come to stay with us, but then how these monies will be used is something that we are all concerned about.
Okay, and so I've heard suggestions like don't put the monies in the consolidated fund, create a separate account for it. What do you propose?
The consolidated fund is guided by law, and the Public Financial Management Act stipulates that all monies and levies collected by government must be placed into the consolidated fund. And for that matter, we cannot go against that particular law that has been set up to collect all public revenues and levies by government. And so the money going into the consolidated fund, for me, I don't have any issues with it. If we create another fund for that particular purpose, it will go, that is where we are now going to plan who is going to manage that particular fund, who has the mandate to manage the fund, and at the end of the day, we'll have the issues of corruption coming up. Monies taken out from the consolidated fund are guided by the laws of the country, and no politician can just use it anyhow they want to use that particular amount of money. It needs approval, and once approval is given before they can spend the money.
Well, so how else can the government be made accountable for the monies that are accrued from the levy?
All right. The government would need to set up a unit within the Ministry of Finance that should be accountable to the Ghanaian, just like the way the Ghana Revenue Authority will be accountable to the Minister of Finance on the amounts that have been accrued and placed into the consolidated fund every 3 months or so in the law. Then we also expect that government should give us how much they have spent on quarterly basis on this from this particular amount of money. But then the issues that have been stipulated in the law by the finance minister, not in the law, but by the finance minister, as to how this amount shall be used, the programs that it shall be used for. We need the details of these programs. We need the cost estimates of this program. And we want to know the people who are going to execute these programs from time to time. And once that is done and it is made public, we are all going to monitor what is happening in the public space.
Well, so yesterday, the Vice President made a presentation on the true state of the economy. People were hoping to hear him talk about the e-levy, but he sort of swerved the subject. And we wonder why. Should he have talked about it, knowing his previous stance on taxing Momo, for instance?
It is a dicey situation for the Vice President, knowing very well his stance on the levy or the tax on Momo amount. He stipulated or said earlier on that Momo is used by the poor, and taxing the poor will make life very difficult for them. And for that matter, the government says that that is the only way we can raise money, which is against the principles stood by the Vice President. And so it becomes very difficult for him to talk about that particular stand. And that is why over the period, he has shied away from it. But you know what, Darren? The governance of the country does not lie in the powers of the Vice President alone. It is a collective effort. He alone cannot stand against the government, and for that matter, he has no option, but his silence confirms that he agrees with what the government has decided to do.
But what did you make generally of the presentation? Did it sell? Did his message hit home?
For the presentation of the Vice President, for me, he chose the wrong platform to do that type of presentation. The presentation is a political presentation, typical political presentation done by the Vice President. The Vice President must know he is the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana and not Vice President of NPP members. And so going to tell us the stories that we know, the things that we know are happening, repeating them, what the President said in the State of the Nation address, what the Finance Minister said, what the ministry, not the ministry, Bank of Ghana is doing to pull down on the Cedi depreciation, inflation, and all those things, were the same things the Vice President came to tell us. So he did not tell us anything new.
Okay. Your honest opinion there. Well, but stay with me, Sarah, because I want to pick your thoughts on another story that we are covering tonight. We are told that government has secured 408.7 million cedis from the sale of the 3-year Cedi denominated bond auctioned yesterday. According to the auction results from the Bank of Ghana, government accepted all the bids for the debt instrument, which did not have a targeted amount. The bond was sold at an interest rate of 20.85% to investors. Now, this is, however, higher than the initial price guidance of 20.65% and also expensive than the 5-year bond issued last month at the price of 20.75%. Now, this is where I want us to pay attention to, because Joy Business understands that non-resident or foreign investors did not participate in the auctioning of the government bond. This, of course, due to the perceived risk of the economic outlook of the country by investors. Your thoughts on this briefly, Sarah?
This is worrying. It is worrying for me because 408.7 million Ghana cedis for 3 years, and the rate that we are paying on this particular amount is 20%. Way higher than the treasury bill rates that we're talking about. And we know that the rating agencies have rated our market very low. And so that is why the foreign investors have shied away from this particular bond. The amount to me is on a higher side, and it is a loan that we are going to pay for in the future. The finance ministry could have done much better if the investment in bonds are done by the rich people, not the ordinary Ghanaian. And so these people taking 20%, and if there is a default on the bond, government will pay a default rate on this particular bond, and the amount that is being raised, 20% of that particular amount, is a colossal amount of money. And if we ask the people who invested in this type of bonds, they are the same government officials and their companies and cronies that have invested in this particular type of bond. And it is worrying for our country because it is going to add up to the debt stock of our country. And the generations after generations are the ones who are going to pay for this bond. For some time now, Ghana borrows to pay debt. And so everything that we are doing in Ghana, we borrow money to do it. The question I ask myself is, what happens to our oil revenue, our mineral resources that we have, our cocoas that we have? So when politicians borrow this amount of money and they do things for us, they tell us this is what they do for us, and therefore we should clap for them at any point in time. It becomes very worrying.
All right.
These are times that we need government to stand with the citizens. George Weah of Liberia says that not under his tenure would the price of rice go up. Rwanda is saying that they are not going to increase the prices of fuel. They will have to make sure that the citizens benefit, that the wars in other countries and the global issues that are happening should not be paid by the citizens of those countries. What are we finding in Ghana? All politicians from across board. So it is time for politicians to put Ghana first in whatever we do. That the ordinary person on the street should benefit from the things that we are doing. It is also time for our state-owned enterprises to go profitable in some of the things that are being done. Because the money go to state-owned enterprises, and the CEOs and those who are working, who are government appointees, are receiving so much amount of money. And when we borrow and we give to these institutions, they don't work to generate some amount of revenue for us.
All right. We'd have to leave it here. Thank you so much, Sarah Mkawo, a senior finance lecturer at the University of Cape Coast. I appreciate your time with us tonight on Business Live. You're watching Business Live. Still to come, Joy Business shopping list. Tonight we are at the Adabaka market in search of fish.
This Kobe you are seeing now is 18 Cedi for one. First, it's not costly, but because of the petrol, they have increased. The lorry fare is affect the fish too. So now you can get it 18 Cedi.
We've got details after this break.